Number 8 in your list is
Dak Prescott. Right, the quarterback for America's team. Man, Dak Prescott. Gosh, there's so much I respect about him. And we better start putting some respect on his name. I think that's the thing that I come away with more than anything. Damn, the guy's a good player, right? Another guy that I would go, he's a throwback. He's a throwback quarterback, right? Except he can run, right? And he can hop around the pocket a little bit and still make those throws. But how many years does a guy have to play consistently really good football before people start to give him a little credit or stop telling me, oh, you can't win the big game or any of that, right? I mean, that's where it drives me crazy, right? Is it perfect, as I say all the time? No, it's not perfect, but there's way more good than bad. And like, as I've joked about with Daniel Jones and been like, he's the Giants' 67th problem. Dak Prescott is like problem 167 for the Cowboys. I mean, what? Like, okay, first off, you know I'm not numbers, right? But when I do this and I look up and I get it all in front of me just to be like, because I want to know what games to hop around and, let me watch these throws. Let me see this, blah, blah, blah. I mean, he had a 95 or above quarterback rating in every game of the season except for 4 last year, right? I mean, I'm not saying the quarterback rating's like the holy grail of everything here, but there are some things to conclude from it that do hold some
pretty
water.
Good indication you didn't give the ball away to the
right.
other team.
You were efficient,
yeah.
right? You made plays, all of that. So there's definitely indicators there to go, okay, right? I mean, he's second in the NFL in passer rating, right? He led the NFL in TD passes, and he gets talked about like he's chopped liver. I mean, it's incredible. It is. Right? And I would say this. Here's probably the headline after saying he's a throwback and he's all that, right? He carries the offense way more than the other way around. Let me just say that one more time. Dak Prescott carries the offense way more than the other way around. Okay? Right? I mean, first off, yeah, compared to other quarterbacks we've talked about and all of that, he's got no guy he throws a 5-yard slant to and runs for 70 yards and a touchdown. CeeDee Lamb's really good, but that's not what he does, right? He doesn't get to throw a screen to Debo or Tyreek and they run 70 yards, right? He doesn't get to do that. I don't see, like, play-action passes like I do with Shanahan or McDaniel or all that and go, well, nobody's in the screen. In fact, he threw a ball so bad, the guy fell down, caught it, and got up and ran. I mean, that's what you see on the other guys' films, right? There's none of that. Right? He carries the offense. You've heard me say this before. I'm going to go down the road once again. Simple schemes. I mean, they're simple. There's no run game, and they ask him to push the ball down the field and make big plays, and he delivers. And not only is the offensive scheme not all that great, right? I think the talent around him is overrated. That's what I would say too. I like CeeDee Lamb. I don't think CeeDee Lamb is one of the top 4 receivers in football. You know my stance there, but he's damn good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to disrespect him. But sometimes I feel like people talk about Dallas like it's like the greatest show on turf. Like they're just, and it's like, why? Because they have a star on their helmet? I don't get it, right? I mean, they didn't run the ball all that well last year. Right? Yeah. Brandon Cooks is a solid 2, but it's not like we're like, oh gosh, how are they going to handle the heat of Cooks and CeeDee Lamb today? And who's their third receiver? I don't know. Damn, that sounds like explosiveness to me, right? So that's where I get like heated about defending Dak Prescott. Yeah. Let alone, I mean, literally, here is the dude that's probably the toughest dude in football in the pocket. I mean, it's just like, it doesn't matter who's around him, what's around him, who's going to hit him. He does not care, right? Which, of course, he has the body to be able to not care. He's 6'3", he's 238, 240 pounds, right? And it's easy for him to be that weight. Yeah. So he's amazing that way. But also, here's the other thing that pops up. Forget all the big throws he makes down. And like I said, a lot of these plays, I'm going to go, this defense has seen this play 100 times, in OTAs, not just in the season, in week 8. They've already seen it 1,000 times of that. He still makes it work. He makes so many unbelievable, great throws all the down the football field, right? And then the kicker here is he makes so many plays moving around the pocket. And because I don't know, it's maybe a little clunkier, right? Because he's bigger and moves that way. And it's not, Allen or, Mahomes and just that sexiness that we liked in that. But there's so many plays where, he's under pressure and he's kind of got to run up in the pocket and he throws a 20-yard crossing route on the money. Or, like we talked about some of the issues with Jared Goff. Somebody's in his face. He has to shuffle out around. He has to hop, boom, boom, and he throws a post down the middle to Ferguson on the money, right? There's so much of that. I think there's way more of that than people realize, right? He's not going to be like scramble around all day and do that. He can run. He can definitely go get first downs. You can call some quarterback design runs with him, right? But his movement in the pocket and sliding and, reshuffling his feet, resetting to throw the ball is way better than he gets credit for. And he makes a lot of plays and throws that, hey, whatever, the grading companies just go, oh, that was a plus. They got the completion, right? When I'm going to go, and I'm saying I'm guilty of this too. Watching it back going, well, me, that's more than a plus right there, completion. Damn, he avoided a sack, he reshuffled, and then kind of had a fade away as he was throwing it and threw the ball on the money. And we just go, well, a 20-yard completion, good job, right? And it's like, what? He broke a tackle and moved, and where it's like only a handful of quarterbacks can do that right there.
Yeah. Operating in the pocket. That's been a theme of these first three quarterbacks. And the toughness in the pocket. So you mentioned it there. I think the narrative around him has become quite apparent at this point. Puts up stats in the regular season, but then chokes in the playoffs. He was second in MVP voting last year to Lamar Jackson. So he was 13th last year in your ranking. He was 9th 2 years ago. So here, let's get into it. The playoffs. So you got all this stuff. The things he does well, and is he better in the regular season than the playoffs? Well, record-wise, yes. Passer rating-wise, yes. Has he had some good games in the playoffs? Yes. 2022 wild card win versus Tom Brady and got him out of the league there. Tom was like, I don't want to do this anymore. 4 touchdowns, no interceptions in that game, but then followed it up with a 4-interception game after that. So what do you make of? He's a great quarterback to have in the regular season, but for whatever reason, he cannot get it done in the postseason.
Well, my first thing was I didn't know he's the only guy in the Cowboys. I just didn't know. I didn't realize. I thought it was the team of stars, and all of a sudden it's just all on him, huh? That's I just get sick of it a little bit. I just get I know, and we're gonna dive into specifics here. But, like we joked around when the playoff loss this year, I checked the rules. The number 5 defense in football was allowed to stop the Green Bay Packers at some point. I mean, they were allowed to stop them from just track meeting down the field, up and down, up and down.
Dak's numbers in that game, 41 of 60. Had to throw the ball 60 times, 403 yards. 3 touchdowns, did have the 2 interceptions.
Yeah, the 2 interceptions. One was a pick six, but I get it. It's emphasizing my point. Yeah. That he has to carry the team a lot more than people are realizing. It's not a dominant run game. The defense is a little bit feast on the poor, doesn't always do that great against the rich, right? I mean, that's another thing I would throw into it too. All right, so there's that. There's the, and then where I think you get into this and really get into this, right? And I'll get into the negatives here, but there's some lines to be drawn here as far as what I'm going to do to defend Dak in some of these narratives, where there's one thing that jumps out, and you heard me saying this before the show. First off, we talked 95 or above quarterback rating in every game except 4, okay? The games that weren't that, I would go, see, this is where it's misleading, and his ability to carry the team and the talent of the team can't overcome every situation. It can't. And this is where I get back into the team can help him. Somebody's allowed to break a run for a 50-yard gain, right? I mean, Purdy gets to throw a screen to Debo and he runs for 70. No, I don't see anybody doing that for Dallas. They can draw up those plays too. Oh, maybe they don't have them. I don't know. Maybe they're just not as good at doing it. I don't know what it is. But there's not a lot of schematical help in these big games is what I would tell you. And when you look at even their losses last year, right? I mean, Arizona, Gannon was in Philadelphia, right? He saw that offense. He knows what it's about in a lot of ways. And Gannon's smart. and he understands rules of an offense, right? The Buffalo Bills, Sean McDermott, he's one of those defensive coaches that you would hear me say all the time. He knows the West Coast offense as good as a lot of the West Coast coordinators. He knows the basic rules as good as anybody, right? Right? So he's a master at that kind of stuff. That would go the same with the Vic Fangio, and what he did. And not that Dak played bad in that game. Joe Barry, Green Bay Packers, he grew up defending the West Coast offense. He was in Tampa with me, John Gruden, Johnny West Coast guy. He knows all those rules, right? So that to me is the problem. The 49ers game, yeah. I mean, it's the answers they have and what they give him, it's too basic. That's the big thing I would come to, right? Now, listen, do I wish his arm was a hair more powerful? Yes. He's another guy, I would say, right? He's got enough talent to be able to throw the ball, sidearm, and do all that stuff. He needs to do it more, right? Like I said, outs, seams, posts, comebacks, deep curls. I mean, there's not a lot of easy throws in the offense. You don't ever look at it and go, oh, wow, this is easy. Whoa, ooh, nice job. Ooh, oh my gosh, cool play, blah, blah, blah. Like I said, it's all the basic goodness, right? He throws a great intermediate ball. And what I mean by that is he's a master at like tight end or CeeDee Lamb, 20, 22 yards down the middle in between the hashes and getting it up and over a linebacker, right? But still with some pace to where the guy can get it and run and do some stuff. I mean, he's a master at that, right? But, right, the big negative, I think, is patience in the kind of the games we're talking about, right? Now, he's been unlucky in the playoffs a little too, where, Rodgers had one of the greatest performances ever and upset them at home, where I want to go, well, yeah, that was a superhuman thing. And, again, the defense is allowed to stop Rodgers. There's some of that.
The refs did not let him spot the ball that one time at the end of the game.
And I would say there. And, again, the 49ers were better than them. Yeah. I mean, that was period. The 49ers, if Jimmy Garoppolo didn't go full Tropic Thunder at the end of the game, they're going to win the game by 30. But they came back because Garoppolo kept opening the door, and Dak took advantage of it and made it a game. And all of a sudden, the 24-7 lead was like, oh, shit, they're driving down here, right? So, but that to me is he has to find in those games the line of demarcation of not being impatient, okay? Not being – because I think in the year he gets like, wait, it's all about me, and I'm making these big throws, and this is how we work. And then he gets in some of these games where they're all over the rules. They know that. Life's hard. And he maybe needs to be a little bit more conservative. Same thing would go to the 49ers game the year before when they lost in San Francisco, right? He threw 2 bad interceptions. One at the end of the first half, and I think one in the third quarter or somewhere right around there. Yeah. But it's the same thing. Like, it was a patience game. It wasn't let me try to fit it in there, squeeze it in there, do all that, right? So those are where I feel like he can improve a little bit, because I think he gets a little bit of like, hey, I'm throwing for 300 yards. I'm throwing for 350 yards. It's on me to put the ball in the window, to move the field. We got to do this. We got to do that. We don't really have a run game that we can lean on, so it's got to be me. It's got to be me. Yeah.
And if that's the feeling, that's probably exacerbated in the playoffs too, because you feel like this is the time where they really
I'm
need
supposed to show up and do that. And I just think he's, maybe read the room wrong a little bit in some of those games and just go, you know what, swallow the ugliness this game. Yeah. It's going to be ugly. No one's going to care if you come out winning, though. No one's going to go back and go, oh, it was ugly. Remember that? It's just like, no, he won the big game. And that's all it'll be. And I could show you Tom Brady or Mahomes have won a lot of big games that we don't go back and go, it was kind of ugly. But they won, and that's all we care about, and it adds to their legend. Yeah. And I think that's something he could definitely get better at.
And Pete notes out, even in that 400-yard performance against the Green Bay Packers, the first half was ugly, 87 yards, couple interceptions there, the pick six. Like
the pick six was the big play, right? He got a little impatient with some aggressive decisions and throws where I would just go, get the completion, and let's be in 3rd and 4 here just to stay on the field, because they couldn't stay on the field either, right? But I think it was a little bit like, well, they scored a touchdown. We got to match them. Well, they scored another touchdown. We definitely got to match them, right? And that's to me where, hey, quarterback sometimes, it's a long game this day and age in the NFL, and those ugly games, sometimes they're ugly, and you just got to buy your time until that chance comes and don't, add to the the issues there are.
So I think we have some video of Dak Prescott hooking up with his former running back mate, who is now his current running back mate, in Ezekiel Elliott at OTAs, and so we get some slow motion of that. And you mentioned that it was all Dak, and the supporting cast was not great around him last year. What do we think this year?
I know.
I mean, we got no Tyron Smith on the line, no Tyler Biadasz. The center's gone. Tony Pollard gone. Michael Gallup gone. You got Zeke, but, I mean, what do you think about what he has around him this year?
Yeah, well, it certainly seems like it's a step down, right? That's what I worry about. I think, I don't know what to expect. Dallas is one of those teams where I know there's still talent there, but, almost like the Miami Dolphins in the AFC, where I go, yeah, there's talent there, but I don't know if they're as good as last year, right? I don't know. And, of course, they're still, hey, it's a new defensive scheme they're going to be dealing with over there, right? We still have questions about middle linebacker play and interior D-line play and all of that. We got contract issues with CD and Micah and Dak, right? So, yeah, from a base level, I think you look at it and go, yeah, I don't see how I expect them to be definitely in the playoff combo. I still am not going to put them out of that. But, like, they've been in I think they can go to the Super Bowl combo, I think, the last 2 years at least. And I don't feel like I'm ready to say that right now.
Yeah, they have Tyler Guyton, rookie out of Oklahoma. He's
right?
slated to start at left tackle right now, replacing Tyron Smith. And so there are some questions. And you just mentioned that you don't know exactly where you're going to pick them, not a team to miss the playoffs. But I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
They're a sneaky miss the playoff team.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't be like, that's what they are, I think. Yo, what's up? Thanks for watching, homies. You know it's the off-season, but there's no off-season with Chris Simms Unbuttoned. It's the NFL. It goes all year around, all right? So hit subscribe, please, to hear my thoughts on your favorite team, your favorite quarterback, and, hey, how this season might unfold as we get ready for the 2024 season. We got a better picture, clearer look now that the draft is over, free agency. We know who's playing quarterback for certain teams. So, again, thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe. Peace out, homies. Check you out soon.